Today, we're digging into this amazing ancient story about a 120-year-old scholar who decided to put a legend to the ultimate test. It's a real journey of skepticism, deep investigation, and, ultimately, a discovery that changed absolutely everything for him. So this story is tucked away inside a text from the Chinese Buddhist canon. And, these texts aren't just dry collections of teachings. They're packed with these vivid, incredible narratives. And hidden in this one is this remarkable account of how one of the greatest scholars of his time set out to prove once and for all if a perfect being could actually exist. So just think about it for a second. If you heard rumors today, right now, about someone who had truly figured it all out, all the big questions, would you just believe it? Or would you write it off as crazy? Or would you feel that pull, that need to go find out for yourself? Because that's the exact dilemma at the very heart of this story. Well, for one man, a scholar who had poured his entire, very long life into the pursuit of knowledge, that question became his final and greatest test. Let's meet our guy, Brahmāyu. He's not just old, he is 120 years old. He's a towering figure of wisdom, a national teacher. This guy has mastered the sacred texts, he can read the stars, he is the authority on all things spiritual in his kingdom. The buck stops with him. And then these whispers start to drift in from far away. They're talking about a former prince, a guy named Gautama, who gave up his throne to become a wandering monk. And the rumor is he's supposedly achieved perfect enlightenment. They're even calling him the Buddha, the awakened one. For a man like Brahmāyu, this is completely world-shaking. Is it even possible that someone else has found a truth that's beyond his own massive knowledge? The question just eats at him. He can't rest. He absolutely has to know if these incredible stories are real. But look, when you're 120, a long, hard journey is pretty much off the table. So he comes up with a plan. He's going to send his absolute best student to be his eyes and ears. So he calls for his star pupil, a brilliant young man named Manav, who's so smart they say his wisdom rivals the old masters. And Brahmāyu gives him this incredibly important mission. Go find the Gautama and find out for me, is he the real deal? And the instructions are super precise. This isn't a pilgrimage, it's a scientific investigation. Manav is told to watch everything, how he walks, how he talks, how he eats. But the most important part, he has to check for the legendary 32 marks of a great man. These are physical signs from ancient prophecies that are said to only appear on a fully enlightened being. So Manav follows the Buddha like a shadow for 6 solid months, just checking things off the list. He finds mark after mark. But there's a snag. He's found 30 of the signs, but 2 of the most secret, most unusual marks, he can't see them. They're hidden. And that little seed of doubt starts to creep into his mind. Okay, and this is where the story shifts from a simple investigation into something truly extraordinary. This is the moment of truth. So just as Manav is wrestling with this uncertainty in his head, the Buddha, who seems to know exactly what he's thinking, just acts. He uses his powers to first reveal one of the hidden physical marks, and then, get this, he extends his tongue so far that it covers his entire face, and he actually licks both of his ears. Now, these marks are anything but subtle, In the tradition, they're basically physical proof of inner perfection. We're talking about skin with a golden glow, wheel patterns on the soles of your feet, a voice like an angel. They were meant to be these unmistakable signs. And the 2 Manav was looking for, they were the final, irrefutable pieces of the puzzle. For Manav, that's it. Game over. His analytical, skeptical scholar's mind just dissolves when he sees this miracle. What do? The proof is right there. It's undeniable. Mission complete. He's found the Buddha. So you can just imagine Manav rushing all the way back to his master. He's not just bringing a report, he's bringing this sense of awe and conviction that you could never get from just a secondhand story. And Manav's detailed first-hand account, especially the part about the miracle, it just galvanizes the old scholar. Hearing this from his most trusted student, Brahmāyu just knows. He knows he cannot die without seeing this man for himself. And so, at 120 years old, he decides he has to make the journey.
So when he finally meets the Buddha, Brahmāyu doesn't hold back. He just lays out a lifetime of doubts, all the deepest philosophical questions that a century of study couldn't answer for him. He's looking to this enlightened one for the final word. And the Buddha begins to teach. He explains that real tranquility, real peace, isn't something you go out and find and add to your life. It's what's left over when you get rid of the mental junk, the fundamental poisons, like greed and anger and just plain confusion. And then he explains the absolute core of his teaching, that all of our suffering, from the tiniest frustration to the deepest grief, it all comes from one root cause: attachment. We cling to things, to people, to ideas, wanting them to be permanent, but they always change, and that's when we suffer. Enlightenment, he says, is just clearly seeing that pattern and finally learning how to let go. For Brahmāyu, hearing these words is like a drink of cool, clean water after a lifetime of thirst. This is the truth he's been searching for. And in that moment, this great scholar, the master, makes this profound declaration. He bows, and he takes refuge in the Buddha as his teacher, in the Dharma, the teachings, as his truth, and in the Sangha, the community. His life's quest had finally come to an end.
Brahmāyu spent the rest of his life putting these teachings into practice. And the ancient text tells us that by the time he died, he'd achieved this incredible state of a non-returner, a spiritual level so high that it meant he was free from the cycle of rebirth and suffering. He wouldn't be coming back.
And all of this leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? Brahmāyu didn't just take someone's word for it. He sent an investigator and demanded direct proof. In our world today, where we're literally drowning in information, what's our method for finding what's true? And maybe the even bigger question is, when we do find it, what does it take for us to actually believe it?